I don't think they know what they have on the inside of it.
When I first saw the title of this clip you're about to see, I almost just skipped over it because I'm like, I've heard enough of the conspiracy stuff. Like, just, like, I'm not much of a conspiracy theory person. I've had friends that are. But sometimes you hear something and you're like, whoa, maybe there is something to this.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what's being built there and how that relates to the Antichrist?
Sure. I mean, it's that's the Capitol building for the EU is in Strasbourg, France. It's the way they built the building is it's destroyed kind of in the top and kind of almost like basically identical to the Tower of Babel, how it's fragmented at the top where they stopped working on it. So that building looks just like that. All the markings on the inside are all from Nebuchadnezzar. The artwork out in front of the building is a molecule of iron magnified because Daniel saw iron and clay. I don't think they know what they have on the inside of it. But when I walked in, I'm like, okay, that's from Nebuchadnezzar. I mean, it's
I'm not going to go ahead and say that the EU building is where the Antichrist is going to go. But honestly, if you look at these signs this man is describing about how it looks like the Tower of Babel and how it was not fully completed, how there is markings inside from Nebuchadnezzar, right? Nebuchadnezzar's words or writings or whatever, his sayings are inside of this building, that there's a molecule of iron, right? I remember Daniel saying the iron and clay. So there's all these things pointing. And remember, Daniel is seeing the ends, right? He is seeing the ends as a vision, right? Daniel and Revelation both talk about the very end. And we know with the Tower of Babel, everyone was rising up together and they were pretty much rejecting God, and God had to come down and stop the build. And yet the EU, right, the headquarters, right? I mean, here, check out this picture. The headquarters. Think about this. I've heard people talk about they believe the Antichrist will come from the EU, from over in Europe, right? They rejected God in many ways. When you think of Europe, not all Europeans have rejected God, but when you think of Europe, when you think of that side of the world, there was so much of God moving, right? So much. And yet now so many of them have rejected God. And remember, the Bible says that it would be better for people to have never believed than to believe and have walked away. It leaves a void for the enemy to come in a very powerful way. That's why if you ever see America fully reject God, I mean, there's some godly people in America. But if you ever saw America just fully reject God, it would be hell. I mean, it would be the kingdom of darkness because so much good, right? Even the founding of this country, I mean, so many of the people in this country were Christians. The mass majority, people say, but not all the founding fathers, some were this. And if you would have taken a poll of those in Christian, you would see a massive amount in America, Christians, building businesses, finding new land. I don't know if everyone's ever going to fully reject God in America. There is so much of God in America, right? There's so much of God. In Europe, there is still a lot of God too. But you think of the EU, you think of these different places, it's not far-fetched to believe that the Antichrist could come and that maybe they know, maybe they don't know, maybe the devil is doing it. Because it's weird sometimes, right? About signs, like you see different people doing certain things or like different icons, different things. You're like, why are they even putting that there? Right? And I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Let me know what you think. Do you believe it's them? Like it's these wicked people just trying to like smite God and smite Christians and just kind of like laugh? Or do you think it's the Lord? Do you think it's the Lord causing them to expose their hand? Causing them to show themselves, right? Because Jesus said you'll know by the signs. You'll know the season by the signs, right? So what if, right? It's a good question, right? So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is it the Lord exposing their hand? Or is it them being a little bit too cocky, showing these little signs and these little things, right? Even like with the EU building, different things like that, just kind of like mocking God, saying, hey, or it may be the devil behind the scenes mocking God through people. Let me know what you think about that. God bless you.